What is going on, guys? It's Justin from the J Media back with another video. So today we'll be working on my FG2 Honda Civic Si. So there's a mod that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, but I've been contemplating whether I should do a DIY or should I leave it to the professionals. Today I decided I have a little bit more time. Let me attempt to do a DIY, and I keep showing the front end because we'll be doing something to the front end of the Civic Si. The car will look different once it's done, so make sure to remember this front end, this nice clean front end, because it's going to be changing up here in a couple hours. So what we'll be installing are some hood vents. So I know you guys might be like, that's such a ricer mod. I actually really like the hood vent look. If you guys didn't know, the US did not get the 8th gen Honda Civic Type R. So other parts of the world did get the new 8th gen Type R, just, you know, not the US. And I really like how it looks. Of course, it is the sedan, it has like different headlights, tail lights, all that stuff. Some people do the JDM front end conversion and rear end conversion. I really like the Mugen RR hood, which actually has these vents. So let me show you guys here. Yeah, they look like that. They're gonna look real aggressive. But like I said, there were a couple options. I was looking at Mugen RR carbon fiber hood. I believe Cybon makes one. I think VIS Racing also makes one. Full carbon, but the hood is a little bit pricey. I want to say it's about $1,000. I'm not quite ready to drop so much cash on the FG2 yet. As you guys know, I have a couple projects going on. So the RSX is the budget build, and then my Mitsubishi build is like kind of like the no expense spared build, my show build. The FG2 Civic Si, I do want to put quality parts as well, but I'm not quite ready to drop $1,000 in the carbon fiber hood just yet. So a cheap alternative would buy these vents, way cheaper. The only thing is, like I said, they're not carbon, but that's okay. They're gonna look like that, and it matches with the theme of the car because I have black, red, and white all around the car. As you can tell, the wheels are black and red. So yeah, I think it will go really well. It'll make the front end much more aggressive. I'm pretty happy with the front end. So I think besides these vents, I think the front end is pretty much complete. If anything, down the road, you know, if I ever want to change out the front bumper, there's like the Mugen style front bumper that I really like too. But yeah, front end looks good with the aftermarket Spec D headlights as well as the HFP front lip. With these vents, it definitely look more aggressive. So let me just kind of lightly lay them down and show you guys how it looks. Alright, so here's how it should look. So excuse the microfiber towel. The reason I have it is because I want to protect the paint, and it's super slippery, so if I leave the vent here, it just pretty much slides right down since I just waxed on the car. But yeah, it should look something like that. Of course, I'll make measurements, make sure it's right in the middle, looks good. But yeah, the front end will look pretty aggressive. And for this video, I'll be doing, it's actually inspired by another YouTube video that I saw. So like I said, I was shopping around for the Mugen RR hood in carbon fiber, which was really expensive. So I look up these alternatives, and there's this video. It's inspired by Bearded Panda Fab on YouTube. So I actually watched their video. They did it on a white sedan as well, white Civic sedan. Looks pretty good. So yeah, big shout out if they are watching the video. But yeah, pretty much I'll be doing it kind of like what they're doing, just that on my car. Tools I'll be using, you guys might be interested if you want to DIY. So the vents themselves are pretty cheap on eBay. I do have to say they're good quality. Made of plastic, hard plastic, has these nice little vents. I know certain brands doesn't come with these mesh grill. This one does, which is great, so you know, leaves and stuff wouldn't fall in. All around pretty good quality. Like I said, painted gloss black already for you, and it's pretty sturdy. It's not like that cheap flimsy plastic. And for the set, it's pretty cheap. Honestly, I paid like 50 bucks on eBay, so pretty cheap. Definitely way cheaper than a $1,000 hood. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to set these on. They do require DIY cutting work, or you can send it to a shop, like I said. So the tools I'll be using today, I have my angle grinder right here. If you guys don't have an angle grinder, you could actually rent it from, I think, Home Depot. I've done that before. I bought mine. It's pretty cheap, like 40-50 bucks. I bought this blade. I just went to Home Depot to pick up this metal cutoff blade. So you want to make sure that you have a blade that's meant for cutting metal, which mine is. I also got a pretty thin blade. My old blade was pretty bad. I also picked up a Dremel from Home Depot just in case. So Dremel could be used to cut or buff, you know. I just wanted something that's not as powerful and not as big as this, so I can make finer cuts. Just picked this up from Home Depot too for about 50 bucks. And then I also have this metal bracket right here, again from Home Depot. So I made a little Home Depot run to pick up the blade, the Dremel, and this. You guys will see what this is used for. Essentially, it'll be for a bracket. So whenever I mount these on, so on the underside of the hood, which you guys will see later, I'm gonna secure it with this metal bracket. So basically, to hold it tight, you guys will see what I'll be doing. I'll be doing a little bit of fab work here. Picked that up for like 5 bucks. So all in all, I would say the vans, if you don't have all these stuff, you can pick it up for, I want to say, about 100 bucks. So all in, if you DIY, you're looking at spending maybe 50 bucks for the vans, maybe another 100 bucks for tools, which again, if you guys do cutting work once in a while, definitely recommend it. So yeah, for about 150 bucks or so, compared to other, you know, 1,000 bucks, I think it should look pretty good. So let's get to doing it. So the very first step I'll be doing is popping the hood. So I know on some cars, I know some people, they try to measure it from the top of the hood, you know, draw lines, make sure symmetrical, do measurements and all that stuff. That you could definitely do. But thankfully for the Honda Civic 8 Gen platform, again, I'm not sure if it's for all Honda Civics, they should be the same, but at least on the Civic Si, the hood, on the underneath of the hood, which you guys will see later, actually has nice little cutouts. So the good thing is I don't have to do a bunch of measurements. I can just line it up and should be pretty good. So let me show you guys. Let's pop the hood. Alright, so just pop the hood of the Civic Si. So pretty much here is the underside of the hood, and previously I was saying you don't have to do as many measurements. That's because it already does have these nice little cutouts here. They're not exactly the same, but essentially, so here's the hood van for the driver's side. So remember, it's going to be sitting up like that, so this will be going down. So if you place it right over here, it fits pretty flush. So this side right here on the right side fits flush. Of course, the top part doesn't fit exactly flush, so you want to play around with it. Maybe something like this looks pretty good. So what I'll be doing is I'll be holding it like that, and then I'll do one side at a time. I'll be drawing a nice little line. You can use a pen or pencil or marker, and then just trace it out essentially where you want it to be. And then once you trace it out, you do need to do a second line. Reason being, when you're tracing it, you're doing it on the outside of this vent. So if you notice on the vent itself, right over here, the small, maybe like a 1 or 2 millimeter little edge right here. So when you draw the line, you'll be on the outside of the edge, and you definitely don't want that to cut outside. So you want to make sure you draw the line here where to cut out. So on the right side, like I said, is leaning right against this edge. So the good thing is you can just cut right here, but you trace out the rest, and then you do a little measurement. After you have the outline, you just want to draw maybe another 2 millimeters inside. So exact same mirror image, but smaller trace. Reason being, because like I said, there's this little edge right here on the corners all around, and you want to make sure that it sits. It's always better to cut and leave some space. Cut smaller, you can always cut more than cutting way too much and this thing fitting super loose. So let's go ahead and start tracing it out. So I just made my first draw over here. So like I said, we'll be doing another inner line where we'll be cutting. Again, don't worry too much because this is on the outside of the hood. So yeah, no one's really gonna see it. And then the next thing is whenever you draw the line, try to use like I use a marker, but you could use a pen, pencil, whatever it's better for you. Use something that's really fine. Don't use like, if you use a marker, don't use something that's a really fat tip. So what I'm gonna do now is I have my measuring tape out. I'm gonna be measuring this little groove right here on the corner and see, you know, how big it is. Like I said, I'm guessing it's about like 1 or 2 millimeters, but I'll just do measurements all around just to be on the safe side. So I have it all measured. It's about a 5 millimeter difference. So right here to right here is about 5 mm. So yeah, what I'll be doing is I'll leave a little 5 millimeter circumference all around. Essentially, I'll be tracing the exact same thing over here, just with a 5 millimeter gap. So here I have my second line. Like I said, the inner line is about 5 mm around. So just remember, when you're cutting, you'll be cutting the inner line, not the outer line. The outer line is just a reference. So let's go ahead and get to cutting. So first things first, always use eye protection. Over here I have, you know, some goggles you could use. If you don't have them, it's fine. If you wear glasses or any sort of eye protection, definitely want to make sure, because whenever you're cutting stuff, sometimes there might be little metal bits flying. In my case, I need a power extension cord just because my power is all the way over there. And then yeah, pretty much the angle grinder. I already did attach my metal cutoff blade, so we're good to go. Just be careful. If you guys never use any of these power tools before, there's just one speed. It's not like, well, I guess some of the more expensive ones might have like a few different speeds, but in my case this is just a one speed. So you want to be careful. If you're not like confident with cutting, make sure to get help or get a shop to do it. And whenever you cut, you definitely want to cut it real slow, nice and slow. I recommend cutting the straight lines first, and then over here, I know it looks like it's kind of like straight. It's actually a little curved edge right here, something like that, like a nice curved edge. So you want to cut the straight lines first, and then at the end, like I said, you can always just smooth it out pretty easily. You can either use that, or like I say, if you have a Dremel, that's what the Dremel is for. It's pretty much the same thing, just a little smaller. So you can use the Dremel to do like nice little bends as well to smooth out the edges. So yeah, let's get to cutting. It's pretty nerve-wracking for me as well, just because again, I don't do fab work too often. I'm just car enthusiast who likes to work on cars himself sometimes, if you can do it to save some money. So let's get ahead and do it. So as you can see here on the front of the hood, I pretty much made some cuts. You can see it's not really perfect and nice clean cuts. Like I say, I'm not a professional, so I'm just slowly easing into it. On the other side, you can see that pretty much, yes, I have the outline all cut. Again, do it to however you're comfortable. Again, I'm not a professional, so do it at your own risk. But all these little corners right here, like I said, the blade is pretty big. I don't want to overcut, so I'm just going to use a little Dremel just to do the nice rounded edges. So same thing right here. I try to do it straight. Right here, this edge is not there just because I was cutting a little bit over here, so I was like, let me just use the Dremel to clean that all up. So that's what the Dremel is for. It's pretty much the same thing, just a smaller blade to make cleaner cuts. And here is the Dremel. So like I said, brand new. I just bought it, haven't even used it yet. So it came with this little accessories kit, which is pretty good. Things like a 15-piece accessory kit. And if you need to do like some, I guess this is for sanding some stuff down, which we'll probably use later. And then we also have some of the, I guess you can say, the blades right here as well. So we're using the blades here first, do the cuts. Once everything's all cut out nice, then we'll use this to kind of sand it down and smooth it out. So I went ahead and put together my Dremel. I'm going to use this little blade. So like I said, the good thing about this one, I got a pretty cheap set, Dremel 200, like I said, for about 50 bucks. It's a low and high setting. If you guys use Dremels a lot, then maybe it's worth investing in a more expensive one, but in my case it's just for hobby purposes. So right here, like I said, I'm just gonna use this small blade to just kind of like finish up the edges, especially the rounded edges, and get it nice and clean. Alright, so here we have it. So one side is cut out entirely. As you can tell, my edges are really jaggedy. Let me come around this side. I'm not a professional by any means, so it's pretty sharp, and towards the end you guys might have saw me using pliers as well as a hammer to hit it out, just because since you just cut it, it's pretty hot, and it's also pretty sharp around the edges. So if you have gloves, wear gloves. I just use pliers just to not touch on the bare metal because I don't want to be cutting myself since the edges are pretty sharp. So now that I've pretty much cut it out, all I have to do is just smoothen out the edges. I'm going to use my Dremel, change a different head, and just get the edges all nice and smooth. Okay, so right now I'm just going to be using my Dremel again. I just replaced the head to this so I can go ahead and nicely just follow it down, just because the edges are still really sharp and jaggedy. Alright, so I pretty much have my edges all smoothed out. You guys saw I did it from the inside, I also did it on the outside. On the top of the hood, you want to be careful just because you don't want to be doing it by accident on the sides. So right now what I'm going to do is, there's a lot of like little dust and stuff. I'm just going to use a microfiber towel as well as some detailing spray. Spray it down real quick, and then we'll get to our first test fit with the vent. So we might have to trim, but I just want to test fit, just see how everything looks. Alright, so I have the surface all cleaned down. Previously there was a lot of dirt. So moment of truth, we're going to do our first test fit. Like I said, if you get it right on the first try, that's awesome, but usually you do have to do a little bit of trimming. So, okay, so it pretty much goes on. Let's see. So the bottom part sits pretty flush. The top part needs a little bit of finesse. So like I said, whenever you cut, you want to leave a little bit just so you don't cut too much, it's not too loose. So in my case, it's a little tight, which is good because I have more space to trim. So bottom part is good. The side, so mainly it's the top. If you see right here, it's not really sitting flush because of this side. So I'm gonna have to round up this edge right here a little bit more. So yeah, let me do some trimming and test fit it again. Alright, so off camera, what you guys don't see is I actually spend a lot of time just slowly going there and back and forth, just pretty much trying to make it all smooth. I'm not perfect yet, so the bottom part is pretty much flush. Top part is pretty good for the most part, and then it's just the sides that have to work, as you can tell. So I also did run out of my little Dremel blade, so I had to make a quick Home Depot stop again, pick up more cutting blade, more cutting supplies. I also picked up more of these sanding tools just because I was using it. It did come with a 15 accessory pack, but it went through pretty quick. So yeah, I actually really like the Dremel. With the angle grinder, it's a little more scary, I guess. It does cut it way quicker, but the Dremel is definitely smaller, way more controlled. I feel much more comfortable using the Dremel, even though it's like my first time using one. Alright, so after quite a bit of cutting and trimming and sanding down, pretty much I'm done. So right here, vent fits flush. What I'll be doing to secure it, I'll be making some brackets as well. So earlier you guys saw that I had this metal piece that I got from Home Depot. What I'll be doing is I'll be cutting it. I'll do some measurements first. Essentially what I'll be doing is building a bracket right over here to secure it. As you can tell, they have these little I guess you can see little spots here. They did provide screws as well, which is pretty cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to build a bracket right in the middle, just to hold it down, just so it sits nice. You might notice there's a little gap here. What we'll be doing is, because this is plastic, it does flex a little bit, so I can heat it up. So like I say, everything fits flush, and how you know is press the corners. You can press the corners like that. Whenever you press the corners, everything fits nice and flush. I just gotta bend this a little bit, but like I said, you can just heat it up with a heat gun or hair dryer and it does the job. So right now, let me build my brackets first. So I made some little markings here. Essentially this line right here is where I'll be cutting it, and then I put little indentations. If you want to get a piece of metal, you can get just a flat metal, is fine without any holes. That works too. I just happen to found this one that is really easy to bend. I want metal that's easy to bend so I can just fabricate a bracket. I don't have any like I guess I don't really have a workshop here where I can bend stuff easily besides using my hammer. So yeah, I'll cut it here, and like I say, if it's a flat piece of metal, we just gotta drill 2 holes. Just do little hole marks. You want to line it up where these holes are so that the screw goes in. And when you buy it, like I said, they also come with screws, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, let me use my angle grinder, get to cutting this down, and then I'll get to bending the tabs. So this one side is pretty much done. Pretty much took me a couple hours to get it done. Again, I'm not a professional, I'm not a mechanic or a guy who does fabrication work by trade. I'm just a car enthusiast, just, you know, making videos, DIY for you guys to see. So yeah, this side, it looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Do you guys like this side with it already done? Or do you guys like it this side, the clean look, no vents? What do you guys think? Leave in the comment section below. So sun is starting to set pretty soon since I started a little bit later. Had to make a couple Home Depot runs to pick up tools as well. So what I'll probably do is I'll leave it like that for now. Tomorrow I'll be continuing on the other side. So exact same process. I'll probably do it all off camera, and then once it's all done, I'll show you guys the finished product. Alright, so it's a new day, day number 2. Like I said, yesterday I completed one side. On the other side, I haven't got to starting it just because it was getting a little dark. So yeah, I'll just do this whole thing off camera. Pretty much what I'll be doing is measuring, making sure the distance is the same on both sides, the top is the same and everything, drawing my sketches, drawing the lines and all that, and doing the other side. So I'll just quickly do the other side off camera, and then I'll show you guys pretty much the finished product. So I pretty much have the other side done. I haven't attached the brackets yet, but let me show you guys what I did. So this time around I improvised. I was real conservative on this side. I didn't want to cut it too much, and I wanted the edges to be pretty clean. So you guys might be wondering what this is. So I think it looks much cleaner. You could definitely try to see the flush. There's a few ways. I just wanted to tidy up the gap, the edges to look nice and clean. So I used some edge trim. You can get this off like eBay or Amazon. Usually what these are for like your car door trims or slitters. I had some extra laying around, so I just line it just so it's nice and clean. It's not gonna, you know, be sharp and edgy. Both sides look clean, and then essentially I'm gonna have to slot this in. It is a little bit more tight, so if you guys want, you can always make it a little bit bigger just so this edge trim fits. And then what you want to do is just make sure to tuck this edge trim underneath. So yeah, that's all I'm just trying to do to test fit. Like I said, this is plastic, so it might be kind of tight to fit. You want it a tight fit because you don't want it to be too loose. You can use heat gun, or in my case I don't have it, so I use a hair dryer. Just heat it up and pretty much finesse it into place. And another method you can do besides doing the edge trim, which I did on the other side, is you can go ahead and use some double-sided tape to line the edges. So that's what I did, and pretty much what it's doing is just trying to seal the gap between the vent as well as the hood. Just because if you line it down, unless you cut it perfectly, there might be a little bit of a gap. So that's what that is for, just to line it up. In my case, I think this fits a little bit more flush with the double-sided tape. I know some of you guys might be like, oh, what if I don't make a bracket? I just go ahead and use double-sided tape and tape it on. I wouldn't really advise that, just because as you can see, the double-sided tape trimming is so thin around the edges. Definitely don't want it to fly off while you drive. So yeah, edge trim looks really clean. Definitely recommend it as well, but then you would have to buy the edge trim, and then you also have to cut it a little bit bigger. So just because the edge trim is a little thick, whenever you cut, you want to maybe cut it just a little bit extra around the edges, just so it'll sit nice and flush. Otherwise, you'll have your hood vent kind of sitting up like that. Well, in between there'll be the trimming, but then still it'll be floating like that, which looks a little bit weird in my opinion. I'm trying to get it as flush as I can with the hood. Alright, so while I was at it, I decided to make extra brackets, so pretty much 3 brackets on each side just to reinforce it. One bracket was actually pretty much good enough. On this side, one bracket held it sturdy. On this side, for some reason, like the top part was flexing a little bit without the extra bracket, so I was like, you know what, since I have extra metal, might as well do it. And again, these brackets might look pretty jank. I don't have the actual like vice grips or any tools like that. All I use is pretty much my pliers and my hammer to help me kind of bend it and flex it. And yeah, it's pretty much tight on there. So let me go ahead and close the hood and show you guys the finished product. So I'm all done with installing the hood vents. All in all, it took me 2 days. I could have completed it in 1 full day if I started early, but like I said, I just wanted to pace myself. I started a little bit later. I think all in all, it took me, I want to say maybe like 5 hours or so. So again, everyone's speed is different. I'm not a professional. I don't do any fabrication work. I'm not a mechanic by trade. So it's really just me doing DIY. Not gonna lie, I was pretty scared. I already had these vents for about a month, but I just never got to installing them because I was debating whether I should do a DIY or if I should get a shop to do it. In the end, I was like, you know what? It's good content if I do it for you guys. At the same time, you guys can see how I do it, as well as I can kind of practice cutting and, you know, using these like angle grinder as well as the Dremel. So these vents are actually pretty much universal. You can use them for any car. Like I said, you can pick them off eBay like 50 bucks. And for the most part, they're pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward, as long as you know how to use your cutting tools. If you don't, it's fine. You can always practice on a sheet metal or anything like that. So yeah, without further ado, let me go ahead and review, show you guys how the hood vents look on the car. So all in all, I think it looks great. Again, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's nice, or do you guys think it's rice? So I also actually did put up a poll on my Instagram page as well, my story, asking. I already did one side and I was asking people if they think it looks nice or they don't like it. Actually, I thought it's gonna be a lot of people hating on it, but surprisingly there were way more people who were giving me the thumbs up and saying it looks good. I want to say like a good 80% of people said, you know, it looks good. So I'm pretty glad. Again, the Civic Si build is not, I don't want to say it's a budget build, not like the RSX, but at the same time, I'm not trying to put a bunch of money on the Si yet. I'm pretty happy with the front end, and the only thing I really want to change were, I guess, the vents or get a whole new hood. But as of right now, I think the vents look really good. So again, if you guys stay to the very end, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Again, if you guys are new, hit the subscribe and notification bell so you know when new videos are out. Thanks for watching, and catch you guys in the next video.